All right, hello ARL. We are back. I am back with Mark. Mark wasn't around for the first one. Mark, appreciate you coming on a Sunday night to break down the second half of the ARL teams, do the hitting and pitching like we did with Adam and Frank that first time. Um, how you doing? How's your college sports day been today? Are you having a bad day like Tony? Do you have any
No,
terrible losses today?
no, I'm not. In fact, I'm probably the opposite of Tony when it comes to college basketball. I don't watch a single minute of it. It's boring as
Oh,
hell to me.
really? None at all? Oh,
No,
wow.
I'm not a basketball fan. I don't like NBA or any of it. It's pretty boring.
That's kinda yeah, I'm kinda up there. I'll do a little betting on college bat, like, when the tournament rolls around and stuff, but, yeah, it's just not really for me.
Yeah, this
But
time of
that's not
year.
what we're here for
Yeah,
anyway.
this time of year is hockey for me more so than anything.
Mm,
But yeah, no basketball.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, hockey's good. As you know, I tried to get into a hockey league, a little bit back, and I haven't tried again since the dissolving of that one. I haven't really
Yeah.
gotten my gotten my hockey itch back up, but my baseball itch is going. It's February. I'm ready to talk some baseball. Mark's ready to
Yeah.
talk some baseball. Let's
Yeah.
let's bust into these second half. The second half, I say that it's like the we did it alphabetically. So we
Yeah.
left off with the Milwaukee's, and we will start with the Minnesotas. Um, Minnesota Twins ran by Brad. For anybody I don't know if we're going to get any non-ARL members watching this, but ARL is the Armchair Relegation League, and Mark is going to do something a little bit different than we did on the first one. Mark went ahead and I'll let him explain it a little bit better than I can, but Mark did some rankings for where not necessarily where he thinks these everybody's going to finish, like with regards to the divisional alignment at the end of year one, who's going to be in the majors and AAA and AA. But Mark, explain how you put these together.
Yeah, so these rankings, these grades are all going to be data driven. I took the Fantrax projections, which we know how sketchy those can be. But it was the easiest and quickest way to evaluate these teams for me, given time constraints. I mean, we talked about this, I guess, on Thursday, and
Yeah.
Friday was busy, Saturday was busy, so yeah, the quickest way was to download each team's roster, and I did all 24 teams because I wanted everybody to be graded equally against each other. And so I looked at the Fantrax projections for each team, as well as the draft percentage each player was drafted, and then the ADPs. And I took one third, one third, one third, and averaged it all out and came up with some grades. It's not perfect, but like I said, it was quick and easy, and I think it'll give us an idea of where everybody falls um, relative to each other, at least in the early part of the season.
Yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be a nice unbiased look at least how Trax thinks that we should. And of course, that's assuming that the rosters all stay the same. We know that's not going to happen, but it's something for us to look at and talk about before the season starts. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's why we like doing this stuff. And yeah, I did drop this on Mark a little bit late. I just kind of got the new mic showed up, and I kind of got an itch to knock this out and hit Mark up. Mark actually runs the Cardinals. I don't think I mentioned Mark runs the ARL Cardinals. I run the ARL Rays, so we're going to get to both of our teams in this little thing. And yeah, at the end we'll do hitting, pitching, and overall, and throw them up on tier ranker where we think, or where Fantrax rather thinks they're going to finish. So we'll start with the Twins alphabetically. Um, the Twins, I gave a C plus, B minus potential for hitting. I don't hate the Twins lineup. I don't love it. I think Trax is maybe being a little bit generous to somebody like O'Neill Cruz, averaging 5.35 a game. I think he was 4.8 last year. I guess that's not maybe a huge stretch, but it's a lineup without any real boppers. Tyler O'Neill could have a real good year. Brandon Lau could have a real good year, but I mean that's a couple of big ifs there also, just health wise and production wise. It's a fine lineup, but it's not super deep. It doesn't have a ton of flexibility, and it's kind of lacking that big time bat for me. So I kind of just stuck in middle of the pack, C plus. Maybe it gets up to a B minus. What do you think, Mark?
I came up. So what? And I didn't explain this at first. I did the 9 starters. I did the optimal lineup,
Okay.
and then I also did a separate grade for the entire offense, and both graded out as C's, which averages out to a C, an even C for his offense. Just looking at it from my standpoint, I do like Cruz a lot. If he can get the strikeouts under control, I think he could be a monster. And then I really expect a big bounce back from Tyler O'Neill. I think he could be he could put up a great value for $12 where he's currently at. And then just from a philosophy standpoint, I think in the ARL versus the ABL, the biweekly scoring, your top 9 are going to be a lot more important
That's a
than
good point.
in your daily leagues. I think once you have a good, solid top 9 and there's not a lot of injuries and they're playing every day, you can roll with those guys, and your bench is not as important. On the pitching, it's a little different there. I think depth on your pitching bench is going to be very important because, first half of the week you might have 3 guys go, and then the last half of the week you have 4 or 5 guys go. That's really going to, if you don't have much depth on the bench and all your starters go in one half of the week, then you're probably going to be screwed in the second half of that week in those matches. So I think bench is very important on the pitching side, not as important on the offensive side unless you encounter injuries or unless you have a lot of Colorado guys that you want to bench on the road or start at home, that type of thing, or platoon guys where they're facing a bunch of lefties in the early part of the week and a bunch of righties at the end of the week. Other than that, your bench might not get touched a whole lot. So
That is a good point. It's something I haven't given a ton of thought to just yet. We got, you and I both are in the middle of ABL 4. We had ABL auction before that. It's my mind has been a bit cloudy, and for maybe ARL is maybe taking a bit of a backseat just in my thinking, like right now in the middle of February. But that is something that I don't consider a ton and didn't consider a ton when I did these. Mine much more kind of opinionated, I guess. This is just like how I personally feel. Mark's clearly is a bit more numbers driven and did a little bit more actual homework on this. But that said, and bringing up the explanation about how the pitching bench probably matters more than the bat bench in this league, what do you think of Minnesota's pitching?
Well, I love his starters. I mean, Burns, Fry, and Peralta. That's all great. The Fantrax grade was an A for his top 7, his top 4 starters, and his top 3 relievers. Adding in the bench, it graded out as a B plus. So not bad either.
That's about right, like right where I had
Just a
B
little
plus.
step
So I
down.
kind of do like
Have
what
quite
I
a pretty solid.
go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, still a pretty solid pitching staff, top to bottom. It finished. In fact, that's what I keep flipping back to is while I pause. An A minus for his overall grade on his pitching staff.
Okay, so yeah, we're about in sync. I did B plus with like a he could probably health and everything goes the right way. Any staff with Burns, Peralta, Freed, I think it could probably be an A minus level. I mean, that's just again, that's kind of in my own head, but it's good to know that I at least wasn't too far off on kind of how track sees it. I put it B plus, and I think it's probably more of a strong point for the Twins than the bats. I don't hate the bats. I just don't particularly like a lot of them, love a lot of them. But
Yeah, I mean,
I think Minnesota's a fine team.
yeah, I think they're going to be good. I think from the Fantrax standpoint, their bats are kind of middle of the pack. But I think, and one thing I did discover going through all this is that we're pretty balanced. This is a pretty balanced league. There's a few have-nots, but other than that, and we'll probably I think cover a few of those. But other than that, the teams as a whole are pretty balanced across the board.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's a sharp league.
and then one more comment: if you go back down to pitching,
Sure.
one thing that I was late to target, and Joe targeted really. I know you already covered the White Sox, and just as a spoiler, there he's A+ across the board on his pitching staff. But he targeted the Sparps a lot. He has I think 4 Sparps, and those will be very valuable in a league like this. You can slot those into a relief role, get extra starts during those half week periods that he can really take advantage of some mixing and matching there that some other teams. I've got a couple of Sparps, but he really hit those hard later in the draft when I was kind of out of money. So he definitely took advantage of that. And I see that Minnesota here has Ashby as his only Sparp. And of course, who knows if when he'll pitch again.
Yeah.
And Fantrax hasn't taken into account that injury yet in his projections. I don't think. Maybe his points are a little lower.
Yeah,
But
he's been at 109 innings, I think, since they rolled him out.
yeah, but I bet his
Man,
ADP.
$11 Tyler Molly. What a nice. How did we
Yeah,
all let that get by, man? That could end up being fantastic.
yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
sweet. But
good pitching for the Minnesotas.
you
So where do your projections have Minnesota landing at the how do you say, like, at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, rather? Like, where will they slot in?
Well, they finished with a B grade overall, and they finish at number 11 in the ranking. So he'll be top end of
So to
AAA.
be top end of AAA. Where is Minnesota? Now again, this is tracks ranking, like Mark explained. This is taking into account percentage owned and ADP and the tracks projections and all that stuff. So we don't want anybody to feel slighted or like Mark is shitting
Yeah.
on your team or anything. This is purely for fun and entertainment, and
Yeah.
we just
And
like
this is
doing this
just
stuff. But
and this is assuming no trades, no injuries, no,
yeah, just this is all going to be worthless a few weeks into the
Yeah,
season
yeah,
probably, but
just for fun.
it's
Entertainment purposes only.
yeah.
Don't wager
So
on these
let's
results.
move to yeah, right. Tony, betting lines. Yeah, too bad Tony's not in the league. He was good for betting lines, if nothing else. Who comes after Minnesota? The Mets. Come on out and greet. I think it is John. Yeah, John runs the Mets. Mets hitting. Mark, what do you think? What do you
So
think of the Mets bats?
yeah, I grade him out a little bit higher than Minnesota. Gave him, or I keep saying but Fantrax gives him a C+. Um, just looking at it, there's a lot to like. Jazz stays healthy. He's a stud. I expect Baum to get a little better. I'm sure you can agree with me on Bobby Witt. He could have a monster year. So yeah, pretty solid. His top 9 a little bit better than his bench. His bench brings him down a hair, but not too much. Yeah, I think he had a B- on his top 9, and then a C on his bench or his combined, and then that brings him to that C+ range.
Okay. I'm about there. I put B minus B for the bats. I'm probably generally down more on Jazz than most people, but the you can't deny what he brings to the table. I just don't like him as much as a lot of people. I think Trax is really high on Jose Miranda, projecting him for 700 and 5.2 a game. Gets that, but I think they're low on Bobby Witt. I think 29 steals is low on Bobby Witt. I think 23 homers is low for Bobby Witt. And maybe Trax does not bake in the regression that they should for Michael Harris. The Jake McCarthy stuff, I don't know what to think about Jake McCarthy. Trax projects 35 steals for him, which is huge in Roto. I don't play in a ton of Autono type scoring. I know, steals are points. Everything is points. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing to have. He plays all three spots, but I don't love the little bit lack of depth, but you've got me rethinking how much that's actually going to matter. I think I was probably putting too much emphasis on depth or lack of depth. But yeah, I gave the Met lineup a B minus, solid B. So we're about right there.
I mean, from a depth standpoint, if Jazz misses some time again this year, then you're looking at what Nick Allen there is his backup.
Yeah, Nick Allen.
So yeah, it could fall off pretty quickly there. That's really where the depth comes in on the offensive side, I think. But if Jazz gets 150, 155 games, then it could.
Then he's looking okay.
Yep.
The utility bat is not going to be great no matter who it is on a given day. If just as it looks right now, you're looking at Connor Capel and Montero and Nick Allen and Bubba Thompson, who I like again in more of a roto format as a steals guy, putting him in when he plays and trying to rack up the steals. So the utility bat's going to be a little weak, but not enough to bring down the rest of the lineup overall, I don't think.
Yeah.
What about the Met pitching?
So Fantrax has him at C's across the board. C for starting 7, and then C when you add in the bench as well. Just looking at it, I mean, I love Sticks, McKenzie, Joe Ryan.
Yeah, the front three are great. I'm surprised to hear that, but after the front three, it's pretty iffy.
Yeah, it falls way off. Doesn't have really. I mean, Bednar's a okay closer. Hughes maybe. I mean, didn't they say committee there just recently? So yeah, that, and then Gore. I mean, Gore is a wild card. He could definitely put up some solid numbers, but relative to other staffs, it's right in the middle, and it's going to be pretty much equivalent to his offense as far as he's got a pretty balanced team.
That's exact. I gave the pitching the exact same grade, B minus B as the offense, but this is not. You are not going to want to run into the Mets if 2 of those 3 have 2 start weeks or something. I mean, that's just Sticks and Woodruff alone are one of the better 1-2s in the league. It does get really, really thin after that, and that might end up biting the Mets in the end.
Yeah, he really has nothing. I mean, Waldichuk, that's a huge unknown at this point. Daniel Lynch, 7 starts projected. So yeah, he's going to have to roll with the same 4 starters pretty much every period. And yeah, if 2 or 3 of them are pitching in the other period, then yeah, he's going to be hurting those 2 games.
So where did that land the Mets?
So he's got
in the rankings here.
Yeah, he's got an overall grade of C, and then on the rankings, I've got him. He's near the bottom. Let's see, 24, 21st. So we're in the middle of AA.
So that's our AA Mets again. This is just
Fantrax, not me.
Yeah, this is just Trax. This is not even factoring my opinion into this, which I had the Mets at a solid B. But I got to thinking about that, and I asked Mark, before we hit the live button or whatever, so how did you actually do these rankings? Because I want to make it clear that we're not trying to rag on anybody or anything. We don't. Some of the guys in this league know each other, and we poke, especially at Joe. We poke at Joe a lot and stuff, but we know each other for a couple of years now in other leagues, and Mark is a nice guy. Mark's not trying to stir the pot with anybody. He's not saying this is who I think sucks and this is who I think is great. So
who is the Mets owner? Is that John?
His name is John. Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to him. I think we made a few trades during the prospect draft. Or the guy knows his stuff, so I have no doubt that Fantrax is probably way off on this ranking. Just looking at it, just eyeballing it, it looks a lot better than middle of the pack Double A. And he plays in a couple of those leagues that have real salaries. Um, and I'm very interested in learning more about those. So I'm probably going to piggyback on him at some point to
That's
learn about those.
JOHN John. We also have JON John that runs the Orioles.
Maybe
I
it's him.
believe, right?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I don't. Yeah,
I talked to one of the
yeah.
Johns about that.
Yeah, we've got a couple Johns. We've got a couple. No, I think maybe just John. I think we have two Johns. I think everybody else is unique. Let's see, Jan, Frank, Duke, Josh, Joe. Yeah. I mean, there's some like cross names in the other leagues, but yeah, two
Yeah,
Johns in this one, but everybody else is
yeah. I think Frank mentioned it
has
in
the
the
neighborhood
last
stuff.
pod. Is that Josh Red Sox is going to be very confusing the whole time, but
Yeah,
um,
right. Yeah, because he actually runs the Red Sox in this league. So odd.
yeah. And I always get the
Let's
two.
move on to the Yankees. The
Well,
old,
Fantrax did
oh
not
man.
like Fantrax does not like the Yankees offense. They gave the starting nine, the best nine, a C, and then the entire offense a D plus for an average of C minus.
I gave him a C plus B minus, and I see where Trax is coming from. He does have like the big bopper in Alonso, but it's just like in baseball, it's a really weak offense. There's not a lot of power there outside of Alonso, and again, I don't play a lot of Autono, but I know homers and getting on base and stuff of course matter more than more than other stuff, but
Yeah,
it's just it's not an exciting lineup. And Trax has Alonso nearly 1,000 points, but it does really drop off after that. If you think Quan and Jimenez are both 730 750 point players, they look really nice. I don't know if I quite am there with that, but even taking that into account, it's a really thin offense. And yeah, I think this might be trouble for the Yankees for a good
yeah,
part of the year if no improvements are made.
and then really nothing on the bench to help. I mean, Cruz is what the highest scoring or projected scoring option there, but who knows? I mean, he's got 42 years old. I mean, it's gotta it's gotta tail off at some point, right? It tailed off a little
Not
last
a
year.
great hitter's ballpark either. San Diego's not the worst, but it's not
Yeah.
great.
Some
So
of the
yeah,
some of his top nine though, I do like some of those names. Just looking at it from my personal standpoint, Brian De La Cruz has got a lot of off-season hype. Tovar, I like him. I hated giving him up in that deal with Sam, but um, I do like Jimenez. I do like Juan. Garrett Mitchell, who knows there? I mean, he's not put up great StatCast numbers, but still has really good prospect pedigree. So, if he figures something out, goes to drive line like the rest of these guys and turns it around or something. But I mean, there's some potential there, so he could definitely outperform that Fantrax grade.
yeah. I'm. It's tough though. I mean, it's we've seen the wire, so there's not a lot to go out and grab on the wire. Not that he doesn't have like pieces to trade, but again, these are just for how we're looking at these rosters right now.
Yeah,
And yeah, just not great bat wise. I don't I don't love the arms. He does have got a nice bullpen going, with Presley and Kimbrel being a holds guy and Class A. And the front line, the two front line arms and Alcantara Strider, it's a fantastic 1-2 punch, but it does look, especially on the starting pitching side, it does look pretty thin after that. I gave him kind of the same grade I gave his hitting. I gave him a C plus, B minus. Maybe if all goes right with the pitching, he's a B instead of a B minus. But it's just a little thin to me again.
Yeah, Fantrax likes his top 7 a little better than you did. They've given it a B plus. But yeah, the depth is not there. And as we talked about earlier in pitching, I think the depth is going to be far more important. It gives him a C plus overall there, which averages out to I think what did it averaged out to, a B or C? No, B, a flat B. I like Sandy and I like Presley, so I'm gonna kind of agree with Trax on the starting 7 anyway. I've got both of those players on the ABL Guardians, so I do love that. But yeah, I can get behind a B minus on that as well. The grade that you gave, so because that depth is really not there at all. And then
Where does that land the Yankees?
So overall grade wise is a C. He is 19th, and that's at the upper end of AA.
No, 19th would be. Oh yeah, double A. Sorry, God, totally. Man, why can I not find the Yankees?
I can't see it either.
First
there
one.
it is.
There he is.
I was looking for the NY.
yeah. It's just not. I'm not finding it. Yeah. So upper end. Was he ahead of the Mets?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, the 2 New York teams, oddly enough, Trax not loving them right now.
No, they're
but
not.
Trax is a harsh mistress. We know that from experience. She's not easy to please. Let's move on to who I now, as we can see, like I said, Mark's is definitely more data driven and analytical. Mine is very opinion based. When I say I like this, I don't like this. Philly is going to have a rough go of it. I'm not trying to shit on his name is Dylan, the Phillies owner, but the Phillies are going to have some tough sledding ahead. Just for the sake of just look at this. He's got no bench. One injury, one day off for a couple guys. If Jonathan Villard is not even maybe he sees major league time. I'm sure he will at some point. But you have some great looking names here. Trey Turner, Teoscar, a $24 Teoscar looks really nice. Cedric Mullins, a Rosarena, Real Muto. But it's just, your projections will like his front 9 or his starting 9 or whatever. But there's absolutely, and when I say no depth, I mean there's literally no depth. He does not have a bench.
Yeah.
So this is going to be very tough for the Phillies.
I think if you scroll down to his minors, there are a few names there that are going to get some. Well, maybe not a lot. Let's see, Julian.
Maybe Noda probably is the most notable of this year.
I think in the Fantrax calculations, I bumped up a few of those minor leaguers because I wanted to make sure everybody had 28 players. So if they had any points at the minor league level, I bumped them up into the calculations. And Fantrax gave him a C plus across the board for offense. Me personally, just looking at it, I'm not a huge fan of Teoscar in Seattle. Trey Turner's great, obviously. Real Muto is great. I like Josh Bell. I'm not a big Rosarena fan. I'm Cedric, but I think just like a lot of the Baltimore hitters, the dimension changes kind of affected him negatively. Aaron Hicks, I mean, come on. If you got to rely on him as your DH, I think you're probably in trouble.
The Phillies are the only team that I gave their potential as lower than their current. Like I gave them a C plus, but a D minus for potential because just one injury or one extended benching, or if Villar doesn't make the major, he has no second baseman. So not only does he have have a bench, but he might not have a second baseman to open the year.
Yeah, he'll actually have one guy on the bench because he has 10 guys in his starting lineup right now. So he has to move one down to reserves.
Oh yeah,
Probably
he's got two utility. Yeah,
that team,
good
yeah, he probably
catch.
moves Stallings or Hicks down there.
Good
But either one
catch.
of those, yeah, I mean, it's not pretty. Fantrax was kinder to it than I would be. Um, but I think I remember back when we did the auction. I think Dylan is a younger kid, so it might be his first taste of something this size, this large.
Sure, yeah,
So
and a live auction like that. Yeah.
yeah, so hopefully it'll be a learning experience. But yeah, I remember I think he went in hard on some players and spent a lot of money early, and then I think he was the owner that had maybe 16 spots to fill with $16 or something at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
So,
it was.
and he's got a lot
And
of
then
$1
I don't
guys.
think
So
he was around for Fab. I don't think he did anything
yeah,
during that first run of Fab either.
yeah,
So yeah, he's got some tough sledding ahead.
I hope he gets more involved. I think it's and look at his pitching staff. He's got a lot of guys
He's
in
got
active.
really nice pieces. That's the thing. Like
Yeah,
he could, I don't want to make it seem like I'm making, but like obviously everybody knows, yeah, we can trade whatever. He's got very attractive pieces, in the lineup and in the rotation. He's got guys that he could turn into two or three, major leaguers. So that's not
yeah,
out of the realm of possibility that his opening day roster ends up looking a lot different than it does now because he's going to have to address his just lack of major league players, especially on the offensive side. How
yeah.
he chooses to do that is up to him. But
Yeah, I hope he
the
gets more
rotation,
involved.
yeah. What do you think of the rotation?
So D minus on the rotation, and as you can see there, he's got more than 7 in his active rotation. So I
Yeah,
just took
yeah, he does.
I took the top 7 in the calculations, bumped everybody else back down to the bench. So he got a D in the bench, but it averaged out to for his pitching staff to a D, a solid D. So C minus for offense, a D for pitching, and a D plus on his overall grade.
I was a little kinder to the pitching. I gave him a C plus for pitching, just on the potential strength of that front three, Kirby, Senga, and Wright. I don't know what to expect from Senga, but Trax thinks he's going to be a 22 point per game pitcher. After that, obviously, especially in the starting pitching side, it does get almost
Ugly.
non-existent. Chad Cole, if he
Yeah,
did he even sign anywhere?
I don't
The
know.
Nationals. He's a non-roster invitee to the Nats, so
Yeah,
shouldn't be
maybe.
terribly hard to crack that rotation. But yeah, it's thin.
But you're looking at each scoring period. Let's just say Kirby, Singa, and Wright all go at the same scoring period. You've got 3 starts. Most teams are probably going to have 4 or 5, or most of your
Yeah,
better teams.
it's tough.
And then that means the next scoring period, unless they win on Monday, you're probably not going to get any starts the second scoring period. But more likely, it's going to be he's going to have 2 starts one period and 1 start the next. So that I just don't see that winning many.
That's a harsh reality. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to need. I think you're going to need at least 3 per period just to compete. Um, so
Yeah, that's going to be tough. Dylan, you've got some work to do, but it is by no means hopeless. I mean, you've got some nice names in the minors. You got some really nice names in the minors. You've got very attractive major league chips. I think he's going to do something. I mean, it would be hard not. It'd be hard to go into opening day with no bench and
yeah,
maybe 3 starts a week if you're lucky. Like he's going to have to do something.
but he's
So
going to have
where
to.
I think we can. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, but he's gonna have to engage in the Discord and in the discussion, because I mean that I know there's teams in the ABL that can get away with not chatting a whole lot, like Jake, Arizona, and Dave in the Athletics,
Sure.
um, but I think he's going to need to really be engaged and research and study this type of league, because it's unique, and it's going to it's going to be a learning curve for him if he's never done anything like this before. But I still
That's
say
that's a good
being
point. Yeah.
yeah, I still say being involved in the Discord as much as possible. I worry that he's going to check out pretty soon if he's not successful, and we're looking at a new owner next year. But I hope that's not the case.
this is not this. It's true. This is not the kind of league where you can miss that first fab run and be okay. You know,
Yeah,
like that initial fab run in a 24 team, a 30 team league, like it is huge. And at the end of the auction, I was fairly certain that okay, well, this is kind of what I did in year one of the ABL. I planned on kind of filling out at least my bullpen and stuff, my lesser bench guy. I was going to try to do it in Fab. Maybe that's what he plans on doing. Some guys go hard in the auction. We've seen it, but he was not involved in Fab, and it's a little worrisome. Maybe he has other plans in mind. I don't want to try to speak for him, but yeah, it definitely has some work to do, and
yeah.
probably don't not going to be a terrible surprise. I have to assume that Trax has him in the double A
Yes.
tier.
And in fact, he's dead last at 24.
Yeah, you just don't have the players, Dylan. You just don't have the at bats. You don't have the innings right now. It's just
Yeah.
make some
I,
moves, man. Got to make
I
some
think
moves.
he, I think he can still probably build it in Fab, but we only have $25 of Fab, so it's not like you can
Yeah,
build it a whole lot. But it should be a deeper free agent pool, given that there's only 24 teams. And as spring training really gets underway and more news comes out, I think there will be some buy-in opportunities
yeah,
there.
yeah. That's probably true. How about Pittsburgh? Now we'll move past Philly onto Pittsburgh. I I don't know exactly where I stand with the Pittsburgh hitting. I want to like it because some of the names there are extremely attractive. You've got Jordan, you've got Trout, you've got Stanton, you've got Josh Young, you've got Altuve, but the depth or the
Yeah.
lack of depth rather is where I run into issues with the Pittsburgh offense. I gave him I feel a little harsh giving him a C plus B minus, but I just because on the strength of Jordan and Trout and Altuve alone, I feel like he should make a B minus B plus. But I just worry about the depth. I worry about the utility bat being G Man Choi. It's probably the best utility bat he's got right now. I don't know. What does Trax think, Mark?
Trax is same at C plus for the at least the starting lineup, which is more important. D plus for the bench, and then I think a C minus overall. Hold on, let me look at that again. No, a C overall. So not bad. Especially, he's got a lot of star power there. And
Yeah,
in a league like this, stars and scrubs can work better than a daily league. I still don't think it'll be successful, but it at least has a chance of working in this type of league versus ABL. But IKF is his shortstop. That's
yeah,
Fantrax doesn't like his projections. Garver is his catcher. But yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of big names there. Votto, Altuve. I mean, Josh Young. If he can have a rookie year on par with some of these other recent stud rookies, then he's gonna upset a few teams if he stays healthy. But yeah, if he has to go to that bench at much, he's going to be in trouble.
yeah, yeah. The bench is where maybe you catch lightning in a bottle with Toglio or Will Benson now in Cincinnati. I don't love either of those guys. I know they've both had their helium at one point or another
Yeah,
over the last couple few years, but those aren't guys that you want to lean on, as a
no,
utility bat or you know uh, even really being in there for most of the week. But yeah, the depth. I feel like I'm saying that about almost everybody though. The depth. It's a killer. If you've never done these deeper leagues before, if you've never done these live auctions where there's 48 guys on the board at once, and you're not sure exactly how your team's going. It is tough and it catches up to you fast, and then all of a sudden you're looking and you just don't have the money to grab these guys. Maybe you thought you were going to grab these role players to put on the bench and stuff. Man, we just saw it. Didn't we just see like a Ledmys Diaz go for almost $20 in a league, because somebody desperately needed a shortstop that was going to play. Like that stuff catches up to you quick. And again, I feel like I'm saying it with almost every team. They just don't have the depth. They just don't have the depth. But
Yeah.
it's just kind of how it is.
There's
Um,
quite a few teams that don't have that depth.
yeah.
Like I said, if they stay healthy on the offensive side, they can survive it. On the pitching side, I think it's crucial, much more crucial.
The pitching side for Pittsburgh is a very interesting one. I gave a C plus with potential for B plus. Just the front three are phenomenal, but
Hmm.
with two of the three being DeGrom and Kershaw, realistically, how many weeks are you going to get with both of them making a start in the same week?
Yeah,
What's the over under on that? I don't know, but Maeda is maybe sneaky nice at $6. Lorenzen could be sneaky nice at $2. There's not, again, not a lot of depth, after those front three, and even with those front three, even Trax is not terribly kind. 118 innings for Kershaw, 125 for DeGrom, who's already experiencing
yeah,
his discomfort, whatever you want to call it. Was it shoulder related? Uh, no, his side. So that's, I guess, better.
yeah,
But yeah, C plus, but B, if everything goes right, B plus potential. I think that's a big if. It's probably not going to happen. But
yeah.
what does Trax think of the Pittsburgh pitching?
Yeah, Trax wasn't kind. D plus across the board. D plus on the depth. D plus with the starting seven, the best seven. But I kind of lean towards what you were saying. There's a lot of boom or bust potential here. Kershaw could put together another good year. DeGrom could stay healthy. Maeda coming back, he could pick up where kind of where he was before injury. Um, but still, all in all, there's just not a lot of depth there. Does he have? He doesn't really have any closers, does he? Chafin, maybe they've got him with 2 saves.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, he could be a
He'll
committee
get.
guy.
Yeah, he's got a few guys that'll get some holds that'll help him, but yeah, all in all, Fantrax didn't like the rotation, the pitching staff at all. I'm a little more bullish on it, but not a lot.
I mean, at least he has, unlike the last couple teams that we've looked at, he does have a couple other guys that, at the very least, Trax has throwing 120 plus innings. Bumgarner, they're giving 146, they're giving 120 to Lorenzen. Flexen has been kind of a pleasant surprise in these deeper points leagues the last couple of years. So maybe I think D is harsh. That's Trax, but it's just going to come down to, are these three guys ever all healthy at the same time and
Yeah,
getting starts in the same week? And you cross your fingers and get what you can get after that. But
yeah,
it's quite a prayer to hope and think that those three guys will all be healthy at the same time. That's just the reality of the situation. It sucks because that would be really incredible for any team that has those three guys. Like, it's not a team you'd want to run up against,
yeah,
but it's probably not going to happen too often.
yeah.
Not these days. Not 2023.
If those three are starting in the same period, that's definitely not a week you want to face this team. And if
No.
they're all three healthy and pitching well, you definitely don't want to face them. But like we talked about, the odds that those three are all going at the same time in the same period, probably not. Probably less than 50-50, I would guess. I don't know. I haven't put
Yeah.
in. So yeah,
So
he's in the bottom.
where do we have Pittsburgh overall here?
Yeah, the bottom part of the alphabet's really not doing too well. They're double A. They're 22nd, so they're ahead of the Phillies, but behind the Mets.
That is kind of strange how that's working out. I mean,
Yeah, and this next
that
team
is
that
how it is, but it's a little weird. Yeah.
the next team we're about to discuss is down there too. So um,
Who is next?
Padres.
Alphabetically. Oh, Padres. Yeah. Okay. I had the St. Louis's. Yeah, but it's San Diego. San Diego is ran by, I believe his name is Bud. He doesn't talk much on the. This has Burke, but I swear on the Discord he's Bud. So maybe he's Bud Burke.
He
I don't
talked.
know, but
He chatted a lot during the FYPD. I think he
yeah.
wasn't completely MIA, but he was the guy that was drafting all the pitchers in the FYPD. Um,
Yes, yes,
he
that
was
was him.
he
Yeah,
was he was the anti 10 stop person.
yeah.
He believed
And
in pitching prospects.
he spent heavy on 2 guys,
Yep.
on his offense, and it was enough for me. I gave him a C with potential for, like, a B minus just because of I want to have as a Cardinal fan, I wanna have that level of faith in Nolan Gorman. I don't know if I do, but just like the combo of Tatis and J-Rod, I want to think that they can be good enough to make this offense a lot better than I think it's gonna be because really it's probably more on that middle C, low C, I mean, a lot has to go right for this offense to be a good offense, but at the very least, he does have some depth. I mean, not a lot. Luke Voigt, I don't think has a team yet. Yeah, no, it doesn't yet.
I think
Freeland
he's
is
with
a
Washington, isn't he?
minor leaguer. Burleson, another guy I have high hopes for as a Cardinal fan, but one position and just isn't going to serve the depth all that well. So yeah, I gave him a C, but with a potential for maybe a B minus, but that's probably a little optimistic now that I'm looking at it again.
Yeah, Trax is a harsh mistress. The D minuses on his offense, um, and of course he doesn't have it. I used optimal lineups, so I put Void at first, and I put Grisham at the DH, which helped him, I guess, a little bit. But yeah, there's just too many $1 guys there, um, and I mean, look at those projections: 246, 389, 411, 2. I mean, in this league, if you're not 6, 7, 800, top to bottom, you're probably not going to do too good on the
Yeah, I
offense.
don't see how these guys could be a B minus, honestly. Yeah, I was just trying to be optimistic, but I just don't see it.
I mean, Tatis and Rodriguez would be great. I mean, if those two have monster scoring periods, then maybe he can sneak out a few. But yeah, Trex doesn't like
It's
it.
rough. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, I mean, Longoria, Gorman. I mean, there's just really nothing else there besides those two. Whereas some of the other teams that were rated a little low, they had 3 or 4 pieces that they could lean on. I mean, Matt Carpenter in San
Yeah,
Diego. I
those
mean,
those guys are just not going to make up enough of these, 1 and 2 and 300-point guys
yeah.
elsewhere. It's a nice dream, but sorry, bud, I don't see it. Now he does have Otani. Like we are
Yes,
maybe kind of forgetting that he could
and that's
slip
why,
Otani into that UT spot.
yeah, even though he had D minuses based on his offense, I went back. This and Seattle were the two that I went and manually adjusted, and I'll talk about Seattle later, but because of Otani. So when I did the calculations, I had Otani as only a pitcher, so his 1,000 points went in his pitching grade. But when I went back and manually upped his offense by a full letter grade, and then down and moved down his pitching by a full letter grade, just to kind of balance that, knowing that Otani's bat will actually be more valuable for him than as a
Man,
pitcher. But in our scoring system, it's not daily, so he's only going to be able to play Otani in one position for each period.
right.
So if he's starting, as a pitcher that period, he's probably not going to have him in his offensive lineup, and then vice versa. Or he might just roll with him as a bat the whole time, which really will downgrade his pitching staff.
It's very interesting what this team could do
But Trex had his pitching
if
staff with Otani's full value. Oops, you
as
break it up.
what?
Fat Trex has a C plus for his starter or his top 7, and then C minus for the entire pitching staff. And then, like I said, I downgraded the average a little bit down to C minus, given that he might be using Otani as a hitter more than a pitcher.
I gave the pitching B minus B. The front three, that's what I keep getting stuck on. Like the front three are really nice. This is where I failed to kind of take into account that it's
Mhm.
not likely that all of these guys are making like 2 starts a week or anything like that. But boy, what a just to get on the team as a whole. Like if the Padres like fall out of it and find himself in a position where he wants to sell, he has like three of the hottest tickets
Yeah,
in baseball, and
he
Otani,
could.
J-Rod, and Tatis. It's like really, really interesting what the Padres could end up looking like this
Yeah,
time. I don't want to be that guy that's already looking forward to the next year or whatever, but we're just goofing around here. What could you can almost name your price for these guys. Like if a team is on the brink and wants to go for it and such, it's
yeah,
very interesting what this guy could potentially do with this team, and I think he's still in a spot where he could easily
yeah.
just go for it this year. There's nobody that can't right now. So
I mean, Otani would probably be a pure rental because I don't think
oh
anybody
sure,
can pay 67 for him next year, especially when
yeah,
it's not a daily league. 65 for Otani in a daily league, I can see. I think he overpaid there in this type of league. I do like Hunter Brown though. I think if he makes the rotation and pitches what Trax is projecting him to pitch, that could be return pretty good value for $19. So there's pieces, but yeah, I could also, like you said, I could see him, pulling a Harry at some point and selling it all off. And I know how these leagues love dumpers, but I know that from personal experience. But but yeah, I could see him really beefing up his farm system or getting a lot of picks and
it's already pretty good. I mean, he
yeah,
look at yeah, you were right about the arms with him. Jacob Miller, he's got Ricky Tiedemann, he's got Jackson Jobe, Espino, Spencer
yeah,
Arrighetti. I think is kind of an under the radar
yeah. Hmm.
Astrospect. Luis Serna is a pretty good Yankee. Arlene Susanna. He's got a lot of. Owen White is a very good arm. This guy's got a
Yeah.
ton of. Yeah, he's the reverse 10 staff. Everybody is a pitching prospect for
Yeah,
the Padres.
I think he took like 6 or 7 of the first 8 picks were all pitching for him.
Yeah, it was like all yellow or whatever it is down that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the bats aren't terrible. He's got Jaron Duran. Maybe some post hype. He's got Don Cone, the Kiner Delgado. Some of these guys are.
Yeah.
Will Wagner's getting a little old, but there was a time where he was maybe going to be something. But very interesting team, the San Diego's. Where does the Trax projection put him right
It,
now?
it puts him one space above our friends at Philadelphia. So he's 23rd
Again,
with a D plus grade. Yeah, I mean we've done
the lower half of the alphabet just to pick it up.
yeah,
Jeez.
the bottom four. We've already done the bottom four in these rankings: Mets, Pirates, Padres, and Phillies.
Nowhere to go but up.
Ooh,
Okay, who is after? Is it
Seattle.
Seattle? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Seattle. All right. Let's go to Seattle. And I just did. Yeah. Full disclosure, I had forgotten to do Seattle, and I just did them today. So they are the freshest team that I've looked at. And I gave the Seattle hitting a B minus with a B plus for potential, skipping the middle ground just because, again, the depth, absolutely no infield depth to speak of at all. Nobody on the bench can play any infield spot. So, if one of these guys, if Jonathan Scope loses his job or goes down, if Tim Anderson goes down, any of these guys, you have a giant gaping hole in the lineup that, as we've discussed, is not going to be easy to fill and fab. But the lineup as it is full of absolute mashers. Sal Perez, Goldie, Eugenio Suarez, Tim Anderson. Again, Seth Brown is a nice 4-position eligible player. I love Kyle Tucker. I love Taylor Ward. And even Duvall for $7 plays all 3 outfield spots, going to Boston, going to be a doubles machine. Castellanos on the bench. It's a really nice lineup, but there's absolutely no depth to speak of. So I had to give it a B minus with a B plus for potential if everything goes right and these guys do stay healthy.
Yeah, so Trax really likes his starting nine. He gives it an A. So
Nice.
yeah, if those guys stay healthy and play every day, his offense is one of the tops in the league. I think it might be third or fourth. I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, the bench brings his overall offense down. Let's see, his bench included makes it a B minus, and then overall grade for hitting was B plus. Assuming, like I said, his he stays healthy and can roll out those top nine every period, he should be in good
It's
shape
a
from
big
the
if.
offensive side.
It's a big if.
Always a big if, and like
Yeah.
I said, you'll want to play some matchups. So depth is important still, even on the offensive side, even if you stay healthy. But um, for the most part, I mean, he's got guys there that are going to play most every day. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess Wade Jr. is probably the weakest of the bunch.
800 points, 800 point predicted for Eugenio Suarez. That man,
Yeah, that's a little
well,
generous.
unheralded, yeah, maybe generous, but damn, it seems
Yeah.
impressive. Seems like that guy's been around forever. He's only 31.
Yeah, well, Fantrax and their projections. I don't always agree with them, but like I said, it was the easiest and quickest thing to do for this. So,
Like, is
now,
there a world where we think Kyle Tucker is only 1 point better than
per game.
Eugenio Suarez? Like, not really, but
Yeah, yeah, well,
crazier
yeah,
things have happened. You know?
I know.
All right, Mariner pitching. Um,
Yeah,
again, you want to talk about the thing that jumps out immediately is
no doubt.
the literal lack of depth. There's
Yeah,
no bench. It's kind of like the Phillies offense. There is no bench here. What
yeah,
he does have is okay. Andres Munoz is probably the closer in waiting. In Seattle, Neris is going to be a holds guy. Barlow is going to be a save hold guy. Glasnow and Musgrove are okay. Pavetta just signed to where he's probably going, or Pavetta Waka just signed to where he's somewhere where he's probably going to get some innings. But I gave it a C minus with a chance to be a C, just because there's nothing there after the first couple starters, really. And the pen guys, there's just nothing there.
yeah. And Glass now is better than okay, right? I just traded for him. So.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah.
But
I think he is. Yeah, he's good.
yeah, Fantrax gave him a B minus for his starting seven, but a D for his total pitching roster.
That's a big stretch there. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously because of the lack of any bench whatsoever. Um, and then this is one of the other two that I had to manually go in and adjust just because of that lack of depth. And I think, let's see, an overall grade was a C minus. Yeah, C minus for his overall pitching grade, just due to the fact that he loses any of those starters. Glasnow is only, I think the most he's pitched in one season is 120 innings, maybe, or 14 starts or something like that. I mean, when I traded for him, I researched him pretty good. So yeah, that's a concern that he gets to those 26 starts. I mean, I would say 20 is probably generous
I'd probably
there.
take the under on 26. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I
Based
mean,
on his history.
Musgrove's great. Pavetta's, he has an illness, but he's just average. I mean, I've got him on my roster in the other league as well, so I know a lot about him. He's average. He's going to be fine, but he'll give you some innings. But yeah, there's really no. Let's see, what does he have? He has two closers, Scott Barlow, and he's going to be fighting. What's his head? The Yankees' old closer.
Yeah, Roldis.
Why can't I think of his name now?
The Cuban Missile. Yeah.
Robles. Yeah, Chapman. Yeah, so he's going to be fighting him for safe probably at some point. Maybe, I don't know. Chapman might be done. Munoz is going to be in a committee. He might be the best of that committee, so who knows? He might get more than projected here. But yeah, I mean, the periods that Glasnow, Musgrove, Pavetta aren't pitching, or Waka's not pitching, then he's going to be hurting those
Yeah.
periods. You can only
Maybe those bullpen guys are a little bit easier to fab than say bench bats, but
yeah.
there's not a ton out there that's going to make that much of a difference. I don't think he's going to have to find another way
And
to go about it than
I
fab.
don't think he has anything coming in the minors either, does he? I don't see any projections down there.
Not this year, I wouldn't think. No.
Just looking at the names, I don't see anything that stands out as anybody that's going to come up
Yeah,
this
River
year.
Ryan.
River right now.
I just don't know who he is. The Matt Beatty trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did the overall projections think of the M's?
Well, because of his strong offense, it brings up his overall to a C plus. That pitching staff's really going to hurt him, but he's still going to be a double A team. He's at the top of that double A, or second from the top. So he's at 18th, which would
Okay.
put him ahead of the Yankees. But yeah, I think that lack of pitching depth is going to really spoil a really good offense that he has. Because, like I said, he's got an offense that can contend in the majors. But compared to some of these other teams, that pitching staff's just going to be way behind.
San Francisco next.
San Francisco, yeah,
San
they're
Francisco Giants. This is a pretty
it's a
pretty
good
good
team.
team. I had them as gave the bats a B plus. There's a lot to like here. Obviously, I love Tyler Stevenson. If you know me at all, I think he's catcher number one. If he could have a fully healthy season, Gunner for $27, maybe a little bit on the high end for a guy that we haven't seen do it a ton in the bigs yet. But I think it seems like if there's a surer bet as a prospect right now, and it technically wasn't a prospect for us, but Gunner does seem to be at 27, could be a value, by the end of it. Crony lost some positional eligibility on tracks. He was at the very least shortstop last year. I know that, but he's got Willie at shortstop. Decent outfield. He's going to lose Grichuk for the first part of the year, but Brendan Donovan can play all over the place. Isaac Paredes can play all over the infield. Wilmer Flores can play all over the infield. He's looking at Leody Taveras to be a starting center fielder for probably the first month or so of the season. But overall, there's a lot of 600, 700, 800 point bats in here with 1,000 for Matt Olson. Pretty good
Yeah,
offense, I think.
yeah, Trax loves it. They're A pluses across the board.
Oh, geez, nice.
Yeah, and in fact, I think it was either first or second overall offense. It might have been. They might have been first. But yeah, just look at the bench. I mean, he's got a bench that would probably all be starters for some of those last 4 or 5 teams we discussed.
Yeah, all nearly
I mean,
500 points.
yeah, 360 is the lowest total there, and there were some teams that had 100 and 200 point players in their starting lineup. But then, yeah, you go up to his starters, and what's the lowest there? 680, maybe, or 661. The catcher.
Yeah, right. And that's probably a top five, catcher, easy.
Yeah, or no, he's got
So,
600 for Grichuk, and I guess that's because of the injury.
yeah.
But like you said, he's got ample guys that he can plug in there until Grichuk is back. And I like a lot of those names: Adames, Santander, and Gunner. I do like Gunner, Matt Olson. Yeah, and I like Tyler Steve. Yeah, it's just there's no. I don't disagree with
It's a good
Fantrax on
offense.
this one. Yeah, I mean that offense is going to do some damage, and definitely not a team I want to face at all this year.
Well, and the pitching is really not bad at all either. One of the few 1,000 point projected starters in Logan Webb. You got Ranger Suarez. You got Sonny Gray, who I personally, I think most people are too low on Sonny Gray. Trax only projects him for 140 innings. Maybe that's about right. I don't think he often goes more than that in a full season, but I quite like Sonny Gray. Maybe some post-hype Matt Manning action. JT Brubaker, the Trax seems to really like, projecting for 21.5 points a game. What did I give? I gave a B- for the pitching. What did the projections say?
And Trex gave him B across the board. It likes his pitching. I like his pitching. He's got a couple of sparks there with Sears and Gomber that can slide into those relief pitchers spots and get him 5, 6, 7 starts a period. And I think that's just going to be so crucial in some of these matchups when you can throw that many arms in a half week and just really dominate a matchup with that. So he's really strong there. I do like Gray also. I like Logan Webb. Yeah, I mean, good, decent closers there with Lopez and Williams. Yeah, it's a good staff. This is one of the top teams in the league, I think, just on paper. His overall grade was A minus.
The Pods our first major league team here.
Yes, in fact, they're
Or
number
the
two.
Giants, not the Pods. Sorry, the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants. They are number 2 in the league by this scoring method, and they are in the majors at the end of the year.
Nice. There we go. Finally representing the lower half of the alphabet. Yeah. Get up there. So that is I didn't mention that is Andrew runs the Giants and put together a really nice looking squad.
Yeah,
The projections think so. Yeah, I think so. It's a very solid team. Yeah.
it's a good team. They're gonna make some noise. I've got them.
Yeah.
I've got them even ahead of Duke.
Our first major league ranked team of the lower half of the alphabet. Now let's get to what I think is going to be another one. At least personally for me, it will be. It is your St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes.
And you'll of course be able to take us through this better than I can. I'll just lay it on real quick. I gave a B+ for the hitting. You've got some good depth. You've got some good top end guys like Hoskins, guys like Arenado, CJ Crone. Now, CJ Crone, 820 points. Eugenio Suarez, 800 points. Like one of those maybe seems a little off, and I think it's more the Suarez one. And then some really nice depth. Carlson plays center, plays right. Chris Taylor plays all 3 outfield spots and second base. You got Nicky Lopez that plays all 3 infield spots, no first, but you've got the entire catcher battery in San Diego and Nola and Campusano. I quite like the bats. BB+ for me.
Yeah. So my philosophy when I go into this in ABL is to prefer to have 3 players that can play a position. So I'd like to have, not just 3 players that can play all first base, but maybe a first, third, or a first and a second. So I like to have at least 3 guys that can cover all 9 positions, or all 8 positions really. But and that's pretty much what I got here. I got a lot of value. Maybe spent too much in a few areas, but for the most part, I like it. Trax gave me a B-. No, I take that back. Trax gave me an A- for the starting 9 and a B for the reserves. So a B+ overall, which is about right. I think it's not as good as the Giants' offense. I don't have a 1,000-point player in there, but pretty solid. I think Campusano is going to be better than the 85 points they project him at. I think he could take over that role in San Diego at some point this year. I'm hoping anyway. Nicky Lopez might be a little generous at 400 points, but he's a very versatile guy. I think Groshans, he was a former top 100 prospect. I could see his number being a little higher than that. Same way with
especially in Miami. Yeah, 51 at bats in Miami. There's at bats there to be had.
Yeah,
you get more than that.
And then Vientos. Who knows if he even starts in the main? Probably have to bump him down at some point. But yeah, I like the group. I drafted much different in this one than I did in the ABL, basically because of the different rules. But yeah, I think this team will compete. This offense will compete this year.
How do you feel about your pitching?
about the same. I've got 9 guys there with the starts. I've got a couple of sparps in there with Sessa and where's the other one? Oh, Eflin. That I'll be able to plug in periodically if they get a spot start here and there. Fantrax gave me a B plus for the rotation for the top 7 and B for the bench and a B plus overall. So right there, pretty similar to what my offense is. I do like Cole, of course. Merrill Kelly's kind of okay. Barrios is okay. I see a bounce back from him to some degree. I've read some good things. I know you don't like Blake Snell, but I love Blake Snell. I think those strikeouts are just huge. And then, Manea, I've, he had a crappy year last year, but he's in San Francisco and they work miracles on.
Trax likes him. Yeah, 25 points a game. Trax likes him.
I mean, San Francisco seems to work magic on some of these older, these veteran pitchers that kind of suck for a while, and then
he's going to go there and be the next Bumgarner.
Yeah, or, I'm just hoping for a Gosman type turnaround or something. Capriellin, he's probably going to be a spark maybe because I don't know if he's going to start in the rotation or not, given his injury. I think he'll eventually crack that rotation, and it's Oakland, so it's pretty pitcher friendly. Should do well. Same with Desclafani. He should be a spark maybe. I don't know if he's going to crack the rotation. So I'm going to have a lot of versatility there. Not as much as Joe has with his pitching staff, but
you got a lot of innings though. 177, 200, 196, 120, 152, 175, 150. I mean, there's a lot of innings sitting there, and in odd or no scoring.
Yeah,
like one of the things you want guys to be able to do is go out there and get through innings and rack up those innings. Strikeouts are great, but just having all those innings sitting there on the bench is a really nice comfort.
The only regret, I guess, is my bullpen. I mean, Leclerc and May, they're fine, but they're not top end closers. I mean, I'm hoping
May could be the saves guy in Oakland with no puck, especially.
Yeah,
he could very well be the saves guy.
Yeah, that's what I've seen, and the reason I took him. But still, it's Oakland. How many saves opportunities is he going to have? And
good point.
So, if there's one area that I might look to trade for during the season would be to get a better closer, maybe one of those lower end pitchers. If they pop off, I could move them. But I'm happy with it. It didn't grade out as top team or anything, but it's grades out in the majors. Let's see. I think I was 5th overall.
That's a pretty good team. I mean, depends on, I guess, what you consider top, but I'd be happy with that. Major league team's a major league team.
Yeah, I mean,
I liked the car. I'm right there with it. I was high on you, Jeff. Jeff's Angels, very good team.
Yeah, I like it. I have a little bit of work to do to catch some of the top teams. I think, spoiler alert, Joe's the top team. I think by this scoring, but just looking at it too, I
throw
think
him in there right now.
Yeah, might as well. But and then I think all of us are going to be chasing him a little bit because of that pitching staff. His offense is probably on par with mine, but his pitching staff's just elite, and that should elevate him. But I think I can contend in there. I'm hoping to make the majors if all things break right.
I didn't do the tiers on my own, but I know I would have had the Cardinals up there. Who is? Oh, it's me.
You're next.
It's Tampa. Yeah, it's Tampa. All right, so my offense is not great. I gave it a B minus with a potential to be a B. If again one of those, if everything goes right, I tried to really play up on the flexibility with Guys like DJ and Witt can play center, right, and second. Kim can play third and shorts. I don't have too many guys that only play one position. I absolutely love Christopher Morel, play second, third, short, and center. Center seems to be one of those spots in these leagues where you use all three outfielders that always seems to be lacking. My other guys, my corner guys can play multiple spots. Mike Yaz plays center and right. Hayes plays left and right. I don't have that 1,000-point guy. I don't even really have an 800-point guy. So maybe even calling it a B would be generous. What did Trax think, Mark?
Trax agreed with your initial assessment, B minus for the starting 9, C plus for the entire offense. Just looking at it from my personal standpoint, I do like a bounce back from LeMahieu. I think I like Morel too. But yeah, there's not a lot of star power there, but you're well balanced. I mean, they're all 6 and 7s and upper 500 type guys here. 400 points from a catcher is really good. The bench is a little thin, but you still have some decent numbers down there as well. So it's well balanced.
Trax is so low on Morel. Look at 376 points. This kid is a stud in the making, and I hate the Cubs. So for me to fawn all over, I love Brendan Davis and I love Christopher Morel. I think he's going to have a big year.
Yeah, I picked up Morel in another league this offseason. I agree. I think he's going to be really good. He's just one of those lunch pail type guys too that's just going to outwork you. He might not have the skill set that some of these other
plays everywhere. He plays everywhere. I blew $17 on Jesus Aguilar. That might be silly, but if he gives me 500 points, and I can get him in there, when he's playing, whatever. Picked up Robbie Grossman. I fabbed him this morning after the news of him signing with Texas. Plays left and right. Trace Thompson plays all three. So full disclosure, I got caught price enforcing with these pitchers. I really did. I did not intend to win. Javier was like a big target of mine, but Shane Mack, Logan Gilbert, Gallen, did not intend on winning these guys, and that really changed how I had to operate the rest of the auction, because I got stuck with, like, I think these three guys all really close to each other, and then I leaned into it with getting Javier and said, well, it looks like I'm going to be a pitching team. So I love my pitching. Maybe it's not as deep as I would like it to be. I spent some money on Baz and DL Hall, but I think grabbing Plesac for pretty cheap is a somewhat decent supplement innings wise. Wellesley, I like him. He's not great, but I don't know why Trax only projects for 100 innings and 11 starts. I think he's going to make more than that in Baltimore. But yeah, I kind of had to lean into being a pitching first team. Did not expect to go that way. Got caught price enforcing on three of those guys all at the same time. What does Trax think?
Trax likes your starting 7, B plus, one of the higher grades for the starters. It comes the bench, they gave a C, and then overall was a B minus. So not bad. I mean, Shane Baz, they don't give any points for. So I guess it depends. I mean, what's the latest on him? Is he coming back mid-year?
He might be one of those throws towards the end of the year. So it was, probably not even. It was September.
Yeah, he might not pitch.
But he underwent the Tommy John. Yeah, he'll miss all the year. But I kind of knew that. He's more of a future play.
Yeah, for $9, I mean, that's a great deal next year, because I can see him, being a stud, and this time, well, probably into April or May of next year.
That gives me 100 or so pretty good innings, and I can either deal him if he's looking good or have him for $11, $13, when he's really ready to go. So yeah, that was a future play. I don't have the depth that I wish I had, but
it doesn't. Yeah, Fantrax doesn't like the depth, and I like Shane Mack. I like Gilbert. I'm not a huge Gallen fan, but I think he's fine. He's going to be. Fantrax has him at almost 1,000 points there, so I think he'll be fine. I'm just not the biggest guy on him. I think you'll probably have more saves than what Fantrax has given you. I think Duran and Vessia could be the guys there. Vessia probably a longer shot than Duran, but I think he'll
Yeah,
get
he's more
more.
of a holds guy.
I think he'll get some saves. I don't think the zero will be right there, but it looks like you're kind of a similar boat to me as far as closers. You don't have a dominant top end closer, but you've got a couple of decent speculative guys there that can help you out.
Yeah, I got some moves I can make. I don't have a. I grabbed Ben Joyce, and maybe like the top projection I guess I could have for him is that he's maybe closing for the Angels at some point this year and helps me out. I don't know if I really see that coming true, but that's kind of the idea when I drafted him that maybe he would end up being bullpen help as soon as this year, but not that that's going to like put me over the top.
Yeah,
I gave my own pitching a BB plus, just lacking that depth that I would want to push it into like the A range.
yeah. Like I said, the starter. I think your top 9 or top 7 are pretty good. It's just that depth's going to bring you down a little bit. I think the overall grade Fantrax gave was a B minus, and it placed you in AAA in the 15th spot. So kind of in the
It's about right
middle.
where I was year one of the ABL. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you'll be right there. A couple of good moves though. Some good breakthrough way. You could easily be pressing for that major spot too.
Yeah. I like where I'm at. I don't love where I'm at, but I like where I'm at. I did what I could with my offense after I kind of got stuck with a lot of money in the pitchers. Yeah, maybe $28 on Lubob. I think he was actually the first guy I got when I was going to try to go heavy hitting and with like a nice stud outfield. I'm pretty sure Lubob was the first player I won at $28, and then you can see the rest. Nobody else in double digits other than Morel, and I really needed his flexibility. So my
Yeah,
offense is going to not be great, but maybe it'll be good enough on when I have a good pitching week to win me the week. So that's
yeah.
kind of the hope right now, at least.
Gotcha.
Who's next here? Texas. Let's go to Texas.
Texas, my
Take
buddy
a
up in
look at
Frisco.
Kane, I believe is Kane. Yeah, Kane with a K.
Yeah,
What the hell?
he coaches high school football up here. Like
Oh, hey.
I
I
think I
don't
mentioned in the chat that I might have refereed one of his
know.
games
Yeah,
even.
yeah. How wild would that be?
Yeah,
Texas, I gave a B plus for the bats. It's pretty top heavy with Judge being the big standout there, but it is probably going to be the best bat in the entire league and maybe the number one point getter in the entire league. So I think it's well deserved, but it has some good supporting talent around him. Nate Lowe was. I mean, take a look at how good he was last year. He's maybe surprisingly good. Luis Arias, a lot of hype this offseason with the trade and I believe winning the batting title. Matt Chapman, who we all know and love. Uh, Joey Gallo with no shift this year. The guy didn't forget how to hit bombs. He maybe less contact than he used to, but maybe some more find the grass without the shift, and he becomes a serviceable player. And Brandon Jury eligible all over. This is a team that has a lot of flexibility. Again, Yepez 3 spots, Aledmes plays 4 spots. Jury plays all the outfielders except for Brantley play multiple spots. Yeah, BB plus for me.
yeah. In fact, Fantex agrees. They've got him at a B for the starting 9, a B plus for his depth, and a B plus overall. So pretty good offense. Just looking at it here, of course, Judge is the main guy. Personally, I don't see a whole lot else there. I mean, Fantrax likes a lot of these guys. They've got good numbers there. Um, but I just don't know. Raz in Miami, there's going to be a lot of playing time to share there, and it's not a hitter-friendly park. Chapman's okay. Nate Lowe, I think he had a really good year last year. I don't know if he's going to put up similar numbers. Yeah, personally, I'm not enthused by the offense. I think Fantrax is a little higher on it than I would be, but not bad. I mean, it's gonna compete.
Yeah, shortstop. Shortstop could be the trouble for this team with just Joey Wendell and Aledmy's eligible. That could be the kind of the Achilles heel of the offense, if anything, is going to be shortstop.
Yeah.
The rotation, I gave the same grade, BB plus. I think there's some decent depth here, especially relative to the other teams in the league. There's some innings there on the bench: Dean Kramer, Jordan Lyles, Evaldi. McCullers is already having forearm stuff. Kind of, do you think you're going to get the Trax projection 130 innings out of him? I really don't know. I can flip a coin on McCullers. I've tried to acquire him in ABL, and then I back off because his arm's sore already. I don't know what to think. Framber's a stud, one of the handful of 1,000-point starters. Trax' projection. Giolito. He lost 15 pounds. He's supposed to be coming into camp in better shape. He's going to be a horse.
Best shape of his life.
Yeah, best shape of his life. It's that time of year. Tony Gonsolin, Trax likes 26-point per game pitcher. He kind of, I don't want to say fell into a lot of wins last year, but I know he was at one point, he was like, 14-2 or something. Like he was just seemingly unbeatable. Probably not going to replicate that, but still a very solid starter. And some good bullpen guys, mostly hold type guys. Graveman, I guess maybe could be the saves guy with no Liam Hendricks. Maybe he does become the saves guy. Yeah. So yeah, not bad. Give a BB plus.
Yeah, Trax is a little lower. C plus for the top 7, and then a B for the bench. And like we've talked about before, the bench is probably more important anyway. So he's got the better grade there, and then a B minus overall. So not a bad staff. Personally, just looking at it, I do love Valdez. McCullers, I like when he's healthy, but he's already dealing with some forearm issue. Giolito, yes, if he is in the best shape of his life, I think he can rebound. He's still young enough. I do like Dean Kramer a lot. I traded him to Sam in that controversial trade, but and I think he's going to be. I think he's going to outperform most projections this year. But he's a decent option. But he's got the depth there. He's got 8 starters. It looks like. I think that's 7 or 8 starters is key to being successful in either of these type of leagues. I don't particularly like his bullpen, but it's probably better than mine. So it's decent. I mean, he's got some guys there that are going to get holds and saves. So I think he'll be fine there, but he probably could improve, go find a knockout closer. Fantrax has him at the top of AAA, knocking on the door to the majors. So at number 9 overall.
Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah, so he's right there on the cusp. Make a few good moves, and he's in there, or who knows? Of course, Fantrax could be way off. So
that's been known to happen. Yeah,
yes, a few times.
Let's take a look at Toronto, and then we'll get the last tier rankings in there and wrap this thing up. All right, Toronto's offense. I gave it a B minus B, and it's kind of the same story. Man, I don't know. I might want to upgrade a little bit with Harper. Obviously, he's going to be without Harper for a good chunk of the season.
Yep.
But once he comes back, that really looks like a lot better of an offense with Rowdy. Is he going to be as good as he was last year? Trax kind of thinks so, with a 750-point projection. J Ram is the rare 1,000-point player. And then a couple of 800-point guys, if you believe in the resurgence of Chris Bryant. Lindor, of course, is a stud. And Danny Jansen, a 500-point catcher, is not something every team can boast. So I don't know. Yeah, stick Harper in that utility spot when he comes back, and that's a pretty good looking lineup. Maybe I make a B plus, like a potential for a B plus, but solidly in that B range for me still.
Yeah, so Fantrax has a B for his starting lineup and a B minus for his bench, and mainly, like you said, if Harper comes back, that bench gets a lot better. I mean, that pops into his starting lineup, and if he's in playoff contention come July, August, when Harper comes back, that offense could really look special with Ramirez, Lindor. Like you said, Bryant's solid. Gary Sanchez hasn't signed anywhere yet. That'll give him some depth there at catching.
He will, though. Yeah, he will.
So yeah, it's a really solid offense. Just looking at, I mean, I like Rowdy. I traded him away for Glasnow in ABL, but I really like Rowdy. I think he has finally figured it out. He's never going to be a huge batting average guy, but he'll get you, 20.
It's bombs.
Yeah, 25 to 30 home runs in Milwaukee. So yeah, it's a good offense. I probably like it a little bit better than Trax even does.
Center fields is an issue. I guess maybe you put Margot in there, but then right field becomes a big issue. Maybe Nolan Jones ends up being something decent, but yeah, the center right field area of the lineup is probably the weak spot. But still not terrible. I mean, Trax has both these guys at 500 points, so it could be worse.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot worse tonight. So
exactly.
yeah, not bad. The rotation I gave. Now this is the first time I've looked at Toronto since I did these, but I gave them originally a C plus with a B for potential. I think I may want to downgrade that maybe to B minus, C plus, B minus. Bailey Ober may be the odd man out in Minnesota, but he'll be, he'll throw innings no matter what. I like McGill, but what is he going to be in New York? Are they going to make him a reliever? I guess. I mean, he kind of doesn't have a spot in the rotation. Ditto David Peterson. Turnbull. Trax thinks he's going to be a 25 point per game starter. I don't know where that's coming from. I guess with Spencer Turnbull, he's coming off of TJ and stuff, and I don't know if he's ever been that good. Maybe in auto scoring he is. I just feel like he's never really been that good.
Yeah.
Has Spencer Turnbull thrown a no hitter? Is he one of those weird guys that's thrown a no hitter that you forget about?
Yeah, seems like I do remember.
I feel like maybe he did. Like he's one of those funky. Who was the guy for the D-backs a year or two ago? Is it Clark? Something Clark or that guy comes up from the minors, throws a no hitter, and now he's like he might be pitching in Japan by now or something. But yeah, it's one of those funky dudes, Spencer Turnbull.
Yeah.
Obviously Pablo is a stud. Track's not very high on Ross Stripling, only 16.5 points per game. So yeah, C plus, maybe a B minus. Not a great rotation.
Yeah, Fantrax agrees. C plus for the top 7, and then B minus for the depth, and then B minus overall. So it was somewhat kind to it from the overall standpoint. I do like John Gray, obviously being a Rangers homer and having him on ABL. I think Lopez going to Minnesota is a little bit of a downgrade to him, but not much. He's still a solid number 1 there for him. But really don't like much else on that roster. Does he have? He doesn't have any saves really. Taylor Rogers, some holds. Yeah. So B minus is probably generous, but yeah, not a lot there.
What does
And
Trax
then
think for the overall for the Jays?
overall grade, it gave it a B minus, and then I think he's right in the middle of AAA, so number 12. So behind Minnesota, ahead of you.
Oh wow, how do you? I made like a nice little, almost a perfect stairs.
Yeah,
Man, the bottom half of the alphabet, we've got some
and
work to do.
you take the White Sox out, and it's only two top teams in the bottom half.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. So let's rip the rest of these off and put them in their proper Fantrax projected tiers. And then you've already stuck with me longer than I intended us to go. So yeah, let's it's a work
You
night. Let's
know, you finish
let's, let's rip these off. Where did Trax have? We'll just go in order of how they're sitting here. How did Trax like the Marlins?
Marlins at the bottom of the majors, number 8.
So they're in the majors. How about the Houstons?
Houston, where is Houston? Houston? Do we have a Houston?
No, we don't. I was like, there's going to be teams on here. Duh, that we don't have. Baltimore, we do have.
Yeah, Baltimore is right above you at number 14.
All right. We did have. Did we have Cleveland?
Yes, that's Frank's team, I think. Right?
Yeah, Frank. Yeah, okay.
I got him
Cleveland.
right behind me at number 6 in the majors.
All right. And did we have a Rockies?
That's
Duke?
Duke.
Yeah, that's Duke. Yeah.
Duke's at number 3 in the majors, behind the Giants.
What a bastard!
And,
Just never stops with this
and
guy. I
this is
swear.
remember, this is Fantrax, not me. So these could be way off.
Did we have Detroit? That was Lenny, right?
Yeah, Detroit's at the very top of AA. He's number 17. He's the first team in the AA.
And then we didn't have a Royals, right? So it's the Brewers.
No. That's Adam's team. He's at the very bottom of AAA. He's at number 16, right behind you.
Yes. The Angels. I'm going to say the Angels are an MLB team.
Yeah, they're number 4. They're right ahead of me and right behind Duke. So it's Duke, Jeff, me.
We did not have an Oakland team. We do have a Braves team. The Braves
were
Sean.
number 10 behind the Rangers in AAA.
All right. Starting to come together here. The Red Sox, that is Josh. Yeah, Red Sox Josh.
Yeah, they're number 7 at the bottom of actually right ahead of the Marlins in the majors.
Right ahead of the Marlins. So that rounds out your major league tier right there. That is how Trax has it projected as the rosters were when we did this podcast.
Yes.
Our last couple, I know we had the Dodgers. That was Judd.
Yeah, they're behind the Blue Jays and ahead of the Orioles in AAA.
And what was the last
one? Reds, maybe?
The Reds, yeah, Jackson, the Cincinnati Reds.
I got him Fantrax has him at number 20 in AA, right behind the Yankees.
Right behind the Yankees, so splitting the Yankees and the Mets up.
Yep.
So there we go. That's how Trax thinks that we are going to start the next season in the Armchair Relegation League. So yeah, screenshot that, save that, timestamp it, see how wrong it's. I do think that by and large that top tier is probably the thing that's more set. I mean, I know it seems kind of obvious to say, but I think there's going to be a lot of bouncing around here.
Yeah.
and
Well,
these guys are pretty set here.
Well, it just depends on how much trading happens. When teams start dumping, that type of thing. I mean, there's no Tony, no Sam, no Frank, so the trades will probably be nowhere near as frequent. But
that's true.
You can see there'll be some changes, obviously.
with
Yeah,
it
it's
being a
just I
sharp
think
league,
it looks pretty
guys
good.
are going to be maybe less apt to, to something like dumping or
Yeah,
not wanting to move a guy if they're not getting their perceived value out of it. Because I've been saying it since the beginning. It seems like a sharp league, and I think really even these teams in the double A that Trax is putting in the double A tier, I could easily see them making a run at doing much better. I don't think there's too many teams, even the Phillies, like we talked about, with some moves, have several chips that could net 2, 3, 4 major league players. So
yeah.
nobody's starting the season out of it.
Well,
That's
yeah. And really, if you look at just the grades that Fantrax gave them, the Tigers, who are at the top of Double A, is a B minus. So you're looking at a B minus, a B level team that's all the way down there at number 17.
yeah.
Um, and there's not a lot of a big gap between, like, let's say the Tigers and the Rangers, right? Right above them in Triple A. So there's definitely going to be some. It's really, and I think I talked about this at the beginning. It's a very well balanced league, except for maybe those bottom 3 or 4 teams that have some work to do. Um, but everybody else, any given week, um, I can see the Tigers beating the Giants or me or Cleveland or somebody like that. So yeah, there's not a lot of separation there. It's just the way Trax, listed them out. But yeah, Tigers could easily be a majors team with the right breaks, good health, and maybe a few smart trades. So
Bold prediction. I'm playing them week 1. League average is going to be a playoff team. I think.
I think they're going to be smack dab in the middle of AAA, right?
That is I what is what was your initial take on the relegation aspect of the league to close this up? I'm interested in your thoughts in that kind of that kind of baseball league.
Well, yeah, I think it's great. I mean, being a soccer guy anyway. I always
And a
loved
hockey guy. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, but soccer has the relegation. European leagues have the relegation system, and it's always that little extra incentive for those top teams in each division. So next year, let's just say it ends up like it is here on the screen. The Rangers and the Braves are at the top of AAA. Well, they're going to move up and replace the Red Sox and the Marlins, or how I haven't looked at the exact if it's 2 for 2 or not, but I think it is. Um,
Yeah, it is.
yeah. So, and the Rays and the Brewers would go down to Double A, and Detroit and Seattle would come up. So, I think that gives those teams something to fight for, a little extra incentive. I want to get in Triple A. I'm in Double A now. Let me win Double A so I can move up into Triple A. And then I think it'll be fun when we start seeing some of these minor league logos in there as teams get relegated. Yeah, it's definitely fun. It's what attracted me to the league when Duke invited me. So I was happy to join just for that aspect. And then the biweekly is different. A few other differences that'll make it a little bit of a different challenge than we're used to in the ABL. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think it'll be exciting. I think each team will have something to play for. The teams at the bottom of each league are going to be fighting to get out of those bottom spots so they don't get relegated. So it's everybody's going to have really something to play for at all points of the season, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of the aspect I like about it too, is that you're not there's going to be that handful of teams every year that's not necessarily playing to win a division, but they're playing to not lose. They're even even a tie, even a tie gets you that 1 point. You
Yeah,
don't want to miss that reliever that you could have got in there. That gets you that W or gets you that win. Gets you that tie, gets you that 1 point that you wouldn't have had otherwise. That maybe keeps you from getting knocked back down or you squeak into the playoffs, and then those playoff wins are worth more, and that keeps you moving up instead of staying where you're at, or whatever it might be. I think we'll see some different strategies come into play, especially when it comes to trade deadline time, and when different owners and certain teams decide that it's time to play for next year or play for the future, however you want to say
Yeah.
it.
And there'll probably
Um,
be a lot of less of that in this league just because of the fact that, okay, I could dump if I'm the Detroit Tigers and I'm in top of the double A right now. If I dump, I'm going to fall back and I won't get to bump up to triple A.
yeah,
But, it's going to be some tough decisions there. Do I keep fighting to get into triple A, or do I go ahead and plan for the next year and go ahead and stay in double A for another year or whatever, so there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made there.
yeah, yeah. I like it. I like it. I wasn't going to be in initially, but the more I thought about it, and uh, the more I saw it ramping up and getting talked about and stuff, the more I thought I had to be in it. And then, of course, Duke showed me again that he just kicks our asses when it comes to auctioning and drafting and whatever else. It doesn't even matter. Trax loves him. He wins his
Yeah.
own leagues. He wins other leagues. The
I
guy's a good
know.
fantasy player.
Yeah, I know you already talked about his team in depth. Fantrax likes it a lot, but it's a different team than he has in ABL anyway. I don't know what his ABL 4 team looks like, but it's a very veteran team, if I remember correctly. Um, so yeah, there could be some declining skills, some breakdown there that could go against him, but he's got a good team like
That'll
always.
be
But
the day. Yeah, that'll be
he
the day
doesn't
that
he
he gets
doesn't
it.
have the Gunners and the Logan Gilberts and all those young studs he has in ABL. So it'll be interesting to see.
All right, Mark. Well, thank you for nearly 2 hours of. I just can't. It's impossible to keep these things
Yeah.
under 2 hours. Really, it really is. As hard as we might try, it's just not possible. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the second half of our ARL preseason breakdown, preview, whatever you want to call it. That's the rosters as they stand. Right now today, I'm sure a lot of these are going to be different
Yeah.
come opening day. But thanks, Mark. And man,
I
it's like
appreciate it.
midnight. No, it's 11 for you, right? You're on
Yeah.
Central Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11 for you.
And I don't have to work tomorrow, so I
Oh,
work.
oh yeah, President's Day. Hey,
Yeah, I work at a school, so we're closed tomorrow.
yeah. Oddly enough, my clients still have program and work, despite the fact that they always look for whatever excuse they can to give them the day off on a day that other stuff, the markets are closed and everything, but
Yeah.
I still have to get up and take them and stuff. It's very, very weird. They always have 3-day weekends, except for when you think they would. So,
Yeah.
uh, anyway, thanks again, Mark, and
Thanks for
good
having me
talking to
on.
you. And we'll see you in the ABL 4 auction room. All right.
Well, I don't do ABL 4.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you're not. That's the one you're
Yeah.
not in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an
So I won't see you
ABL 4.
there. Yeah, we'll see you in the battlefield of ABL and ARL and such. So all right, man. Thanks. Take
All
it
right.
easy.
See ya.
Thank
Bye.
you, everybody, for watching.